too much for
Sorry.
the little dogs, then, dogs would never procreate, right? Because if they were out on the streets, we'd have all of the bigger dogs hurting the little dogs. So that's kind of a natural thing. Like, let them play. If the bigger dog's getting too rough, have some treats. That way you can deter them to you. Um, but generally, if the puppy gets scared or something, they're going to make a noise, and the older dog should back off some.
That's great. David, does that answer your question?
It does. Can you
Oh,
hear
there
me?
you are. Hey, we can
Yeah,
hear
we can
you.
hear you now.
Yeah, great. Hey, so yeah, I appreciate all the answers, Katie. The biggest thing is he's just a big goofball. He loves playing with everybody. He tends to like paw, and like
Yeah.
push down to the ground. So I just was wondering like if there was a way to like, kind of standard of introducing them. The leash advice, I appreciate that. I didn't want to just, throw them both in the backyard and let them go at it if there's a danger of him trampling the smaller dog. That's all.
So a couple things about that. Even labs, I refer to them as labradorks because they're just goofy. They're just goofy most of their lives. And then as far as playing with his paw, sometimes that's actually good for puppies to learn not to get into the faces of older dogs. So they take a paw where the older dog pushes them down, and they learn good pack dynamics. So that's something we deal with in daycare every day is introducing young dogs and puppies in and letting the older dogs kind of school them on what's acceptable behavior and what's not. Because if this puppy is getting in everybody's face, the older dogs are going to get frustrated with them, and potentially air snap at them or something, which we don't want any puppies getting hurt. But if a younger dog can just take a paw and put them down some, then they'll have better manners in the future with other dogs.
Okay, I appreciate it. And since I have audio now, I'll ask more of a general question. I think I already know the answer, but what are your feelings on board and train versus, in-home trainer? You see those two methods being used a lot. Um, do you have any ideas on that or scenarios where
So,
you think one might be better than the other?
so I offer both. Um, how I explain it to people is board and train is me teaching the dog. If you're going to use board and train, you also need to use some private lessons or group classes because the dog needs to work for you, not for me.
Hmm.
And I can get the dog to do everything I've taught it. 100%. I send them videos. If this is what I'm teaching the dog, I get the dog to do it. The dog will do it for me. A lot of times they'll get the dog home and they'll say, I can't get the dog to sit without telling him 20 times. I'm like, well, a behavior allowed is a behavior repeated. You're allowing him not to sit when you tell him sit. So he's going to keep doing that. And he's learned that that's acceptable for you. He knows that's not acceptable for me. He knows when I tell him sit, I mean it. So we need to make sure that if we're using board and train, we're using it in coordination with private lessons or group classes. So they build that relationship with you, not just with me as the trainer.
Hmm. And that's a requirement at Sierra Delta. I mean, again, we're utilizing y'all's honor code to do it. All the trainers know that they need to provide the private lessons after board and train if that's what people select. But at the same time, y'all are grown adults. If you guys don't schedule them, I'm not here to follow up with you guys. That's one of the first questions I ask if someone does have an issue after training, which we haven't had any because I think we make that point very clear. But in of the thousands of vets that I've helped over this my career, where I see it work the best is either if the trainer takes the dog for a day and then shows the veteran what they did at the end of that day, and then the veteran works on that for a week, and then they come back and do the same thing for like 3 or 4 weeks. That seems to work really well. Or if there's a 2 or 4 week immersion of the dog, and then we have like a 6 to 8 week of weekly training sessions, is where we see the best results across the board. The veterans are typically happy and they have a good understanding. And again, if you look at kind of military training, is what they do. You do an immersion in a boot camp, and then you go to your specialty skill, and then it's on you to maintain your standard. Obviously you have a gunny or whatever yelling at you all the time to stay in there, but other NCOs. But it's no different, but it's also understanding yourself. And this is where we try to get the veterans to be honest with themselves. Like, are you going to be disciplined enough if you're doing just in-home training where the trainer's coming for an hour or two, and then you've got to do it almost immediately with the dog and then continue to do it until the next training session. And that's where it gets a little bit difficult because we all, especially if it was doing it with the trainer and then you kind of did it for a little bit, you're like, oh, I'm good. No, you're not, because that dog he's going to pick it up. And it takes understanding your emotions is one of the things that I've really noticed that if somebody has really high anxiety, the dog's going to have high anxiety. And so they're going to pick up on that. So really trying to do some breath work before you work with the dog. I mean, David, I know you're like me. We like to go outside and work with the dog. And sometimes I'll get caught up in writing and realize I haven't been keeping an eye on Loki. So then I'll bring him back in and I have to kind of get refocused and then make sure that I'm working him. So it's continual learning, right? The dog is continually learning too, and they're learning from us. And that's when I know, like, if it's really cold and snowy, I'm not taking Loki outside. We're not working as much. He starts to become a pain in the butt in the house. It's not the dog's fault. It's my fault. Just got to put on an extra layer and get out there and do the work or do it in the house. But yeah, I think, and Katie, what is your experience? Like, where do you see like the most success from all the veterans you've worked with? Like, has it been more that hybrid format or has it been one way or the
Yes,
other?
we offer daycare and train too, in addition to the board and train, which is where I work with the dog for the day and then meet up with the owner when they come to pick up, and go over what we worked on and they work on it at home. Um, I tell people it's really how much work you are willing to put
Mhm.
into it at home. If you would like to actually spend the time doing the work all week long and you're going to commit to doing that, then private lessons or group classes are the way to go because you are building that dynamic right off the bat with your dog. Now, if you know yourself and you say, I am not going to put in as much time as this needs right off the bat to build good foundational behavior, then a board and train is probably, or a daycare and train is probably going to be more beneficial to build those foundational skills for your dog. And then I can teach you how to then handle your dog and get your dog to respond the same way they do to me. But it really depends on how much time somebody is willing to put into it and that for the initial training.
And what would you estimate that time to be? Like,
So it depends on the dog and how quickly they learn, and how they respond to different training techniques. But I work off of the assumption that it takes 14 to 21 days for people and dogs to create a new habit or
okay.
to create a habit. So if we really buckle down for those 14 to 21 days to work on a specific behavior or a specific set of behaviors, we could then create a foundational habit for the dog. So leash walking is a great example. If we buckle down and walk the dog 3 or 4 times a day, shorter walks, doesn't have to be too long. If we do that throughout the day for 3 weeks, then that's just where your dog's going to walk for the rest of their life. Like, they don't know any different. You did this for 3 weeks straight, like really buckled down on it. So you can create that good habitual behavior for the rest of the dog's life.
That's amazing. Yeah, and what I always try to tell people is like you should at least be spending 15 to 30 minutes doing commands with your dogs daily. If you're trying for a service dog, like what I've seen from really successful service dog handlers, it's about 10 to 20 hours a week, which is, literally like an hour or two a day
Yeah.
working on walking and all the different commands that you have for your dog. Like there's so many different commands, but you have to use them. And that's where what really opened my eyes to that we don't need to focus so much on service dogs was how many people were getting service dogs and seeing those dogs regress because the veterans were never asking the dog to do what it was trained to do. And whether or not they needed it or not, I don't know, but I know that they weren't asking the dog. Because in this scenario, the only creature that doesn't lie is the dog. And so if the dog did it once and is not doing it anymore, it's not the dog's fault. It's the human's fault. And most likely it's the handler. And so I think
That's
that's great
that's the
advice.
biggest thing is behavior allowed is a behavior
Yeah.
repeated. So if you're not asking them that behavior, they're not going to do it. Or if
Right.
you are asking it, but they're not doing it, and you allow that, you like let them walk away,
Mhm.
then they're like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah, it's like kids, right? If
Mhm.
you don't correct your kids, then they're not going to act right. It's same, and that's where it's like it's easy and difficult. I totally understand. And again, that's where I think the value of these type of conversations is having more and more professionals that do this day in and day out. Like you've trained so many dogs, you can't even count them anymore. You know,
Yeah,
so like,
I don't like I keep training plans for everybody, but I don't keep track of a number at all.
sure. No, that's fantastic. So like, you're getting it from somebody that has to do it. Other people are paying her to do this to help them. So it's really great advice. And, I think I'm always surprised at like how similar all the trainers' answers are, though you can all be very different in how you do stuff. But that's really what I'm trying to get across, not only to our veterans, but to the donors. Like, all we have to do is connect the veterans with the dogs, and then they're going to figure it out, like how to do it, so long as we have somebody like Katie that can really help guide you guys. And so, really, like, if you're still in the process of building your training plan, I can't stress enough, schedule an hour with one of these trainers and just meet with them. Because a lot of times it's going to be a personality. Like you got to figure out if you gel with the trainer. It's not so much what they know about dogs. Obviously, they have to be a professional. But in that state, Katie, like what would you say they should look for a professional trainer to have in their um,
Um,
resume, if you will?
so training experience, of course, is going to be
Right.
important. Like how long have they been training? What have they done in their career as a trainer? Have they shown dogs? What have they shown in? Do they have any professional credentialing? So there are lots of different
Yeah.
credentialing organizations. But you also want to make sure that you're choosing someone who, if they have credentials with these organizations, they're also doing continuing education so we can stay up to date on the latest and greatest in dog training and animal behavior. So organizations like IAABC, IACP, APDT, Association of Professional Dog Trainers, like there's so many acronyms, but
Yeah.
as long as you find somebody who has some credentialing in those and who, puts effort into maintaining those credentials and getting the education and continuing education that they need to maintain those. Um, that's really important. And that they have a good track record. Like I have comments I can pull off of reviews. I have
Mhm.
Brenda. I can call Brenda and say, "Hey, can you provide a recommendation for
Yeah.
me?" And I'm sure she would, no problem.
Yeah.
So I have a whole pool of other clients that I can pull from for if I need some sort of recommendation or reference.
Yeah, I know you get a lot of recommendations in our conversation spaces, and a lot of our trainers do. So
Thanks.
that's a great idea, though. I'm going to put together a list of credentialing associations to hopefully get into our space to where people can kind of see and kind of pull on that. But that's fantastic. Anything else we need to know, Katie, about dog training or just, having
Well, I
dogs
mean,
help
there's
us?
so much to tell. Um, but I mean, there again, Brenda can vouch to this. Anybody that's in the DC area, come in and chat with us. Like I'm always willing to have a conversation. I could talk animal behavior and dog training all day long. Um, nope, she's. I think Brenda's trying to say something. I think your microphone's off.
Oh, I was going to agree, but they don't have to have post access. You can help them with that.
Oh yeah. So you don't have to have military installation access. We can get you a visitor pass. That's no problem. Um, but yeah, stop by and say hi to us if you're in DC in the surrounding area. We give you a tour of the pet center. We'll show you some of the dogs we have here. You can meet my dog, who's kind of special. He's deaf. He's a double Merle Australian Shepherd, so he's kind of special.
Nice.
But yeah, we have
Great.
a lot
I'm
of fun.
actually going to
Work
be in
hard, but play hard.
I'm going to be in DC next week. I'm
Oh,
there for the
awesome.
Veteran Ready Summit, and then I'm at the Pentagon on Friday, and then the Army Navy. Are you going to Army Navy game in Baltimore?
I'm not going to be there, but I'll probably watch it.
Oh, for sure. We have a big
We
tailgate fundraiser with Medal of Honor Society and MVP. So if you're in the area, you should come down.
Well, we usually have an event at the golf course and have
Oh,
the
good.
because we're part of MWR, so we
Yeah.
usually do those events for watching the games.
Well, that's fantastic. And anybody else here that's in the DC area, come on by. Let me know. Just message me in the community because we'll have.
We just got a question from Christy in the chat. It says, "What about veteran specific?" ...
Oh.
That was before the other conversation.
Oh.
I was meaning like, we're looking at the dog trainers with the credentials, like as far as dog training for pet dogs and this and that. But what I've and trying to scout out and interview and whatever the different dog trainers, because for me, yeah, they're assessing my dog, but I'm assessing them. Because I've had a couple of really bad experiences, and I've had to spend years trying to rehab one of the dogs that had a bad experience with one of my local trainers. So I will not use him, and I don't encourage anybody to use him either. Anyway, and so I found that like one of them I interviewed, he was kind of well, I won't say what, a couple of choice words. Anyway, but it's like he was very insensitive to, I don't think he was a veteran, or maybe he was law enforcement, but I don't even think he was law enforcement. I mean, he went to the Tom Rose School of Dog Training, went to all these different things, had a bunch of credentials, but he basically implied that because not the dog that I'm training now, but my other one had these issues, that I should just get rid of her. And it really pissed me off. It really upset me. So, just things like that, like where, I don't know that I don't know if we get more attached to our dogs because they hold such of a place in our lives or whatever. But like the one that I'm speaking of, she does all these emotional things for me, but I cannot, because of the damage, take her out in public, around other dogs or people, or just pretty much a lot of things. Especially if anybody tries to stare her down, like this trainer, quote unquote, did. She flips out. She thinks they're trying to show aggression, and she's a beautiful dog. And so everybody tries to look at her, and then then she thinks that they're trying to square off at her or whatever. But anyway, that aside, it's like she has such an emotional, like if I start crying or even sniffle, she will like run from one end of the house to the other and dive on top of me. It's crazy. Like, and this is not something that well, not consciously anyway. She probably picked it up from my one that passed away, who was a trained service dog, and that he would do these things. But I didn't consciously do it. Anyway, so for anybody to say, well, you should just rehome her and get another one, is like,
yeah, that's a bit insensitive.
No words.
Sure.
Yeah. So a couple things to look out for when you're looking for a dog trainer. There are a lot of these dog trainers that do like one size fits all training. They're gonna take your dog and board and train and slap a shock collar and a prong collar on every single one of them and use the same exact training techniques on all dogs. That doesn't work. Dogs are like people. Different dogs respond to different training techniques in different ways. So we need to tailor our training to each dog's specific learning style and needs. So some dogs, you put a prong collar and a shock collar on them and you get a complete shutdown. Like they won't do anything. They completely block out everything and just lay there in a puddle. Others, like you can't even control them with all of that on them. So as far as shock collars, I generally only find a need for shock collars if I'm training very high level behaviors. So like a search and rescue dog, where if they get distracted by that deer running through the woods, the kid that they're looking for could die. So we got to make sure they're going to ignore every single deer that runs by. Shock collar might be appropriate for that sort of training. Otherwise, most dogs respond to all of the other training techniques really well. I would avoid trainers that do one size fits all training. Some positive only trainers will fall into that category too. They won't alter their training techniques because they're so focused on this positive only tract. Not all positive only. A lot of positive only trainers are fantastic. I don't want you to get that impression. Any trainer that thinks that every dog can use the same training techniques, I would steer away from those. The staring down your dog, that is like a predator prey response. That is super common. If you stare down a dog that's already nervous, they're going to think that you're stalking them. Because think about like big cats. If they are going after prey, they are laser focused on that prey, staring them down. So that's a very natural response from your dog, in my opinion.
Yes.
And what a trainer should do at that point to gain your dog's trust is avert
He was the one implementing this to quote unquote test her. So he created he magnified the problem. But yes.
Yeah. So what a trainer needs to do off the bat is gain your dog's trust to start building that relationship. And instead of staring them down and trying to intimidate them, because that's a training technique too, you intimidate your dog into submitting into good behavior. Is that really effective? Not in my opinion, because I want to have a positive relationship with the dogs I work with, not
100%.
have them be scared of me.
Yes.
So in that instance, I would be averting my gaze, not staring directly at your dog, holding out a treat and letting her approach me so that I can start building that positive interaction with the dog. Okay.
And then trainers after that have done that, exactly what you said. And then the other thing that I've implemented is she knows with myself and my husband, watch me, and so to give me her eye contact, and she knows that gets high value treats to watch me. And
I use that one a lot too.
Yes. And so the trainer that because, in case there's ever an emergency or whatever, we need to have somebody that can come over and get her, whatever. So I've had my other trainer who helped me to navigate all this. She comes over and she does work with her like that. And she has her watch me and get rewarded. And so, and then different like people that come and help me at the house. If I trust those people, then I will let them do watch me to them. And so she gets rewarded by them looking at her and her watching them. And so, but it's only with people I trust. So it's kind of, hit or miss with other people, but yeah.
And that's kind of what I do too with dogs that are in, similar behavior states is I make friends with them first. And then I have a lot of staff that are well-trained in animal behavior. So we then start introducing them to the other team members and just let them build that group of friends out until they see people in general as a positive thing. People approaching means I'm going to get interaction, positive interaction, treats, pets, rewards of some sort. So just keep building her group of people that she has positive interactions with.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds doable.
Yeah.
That's
sounds like you're doing a great. Yeah. Sounds like you're doing a great job so far. So just keep at it.
And also like just keep working with the different until you find somebody that you're comfortable with. I mean, I wish I had a magic button to get you the right trainer, but literally
I love Zach. He's just the VA's trying to kill him, I think.
That's all right. Well, we'll figure out what's going on with Zach. Because there's 2 veterans that we're looking to find with him.
And he's really great with my breed of dog too. So
he's done great. He's done 4 other ones for us, and everybody's had a good experience. So that's it too. But one thing that you said is you thought maybe veterans have a more special relationship with dogs. I don't think it's that. I think it's more for us. I don't think it's different for the dog. I don't think dogs recognize if we're veterans or not, the dogs. But I do think that the human veterans can sometimes be more reliant on dogs because we miss the team format of the military. And that when we get out, that's a big hole in us that's driving a lot of the other problems, and which is where we're trying to say that dogs can fill that role. It doesn't have to be a service dog to fill that role. And this is what we're trying to address to allow it to be more accessible, because honestly, you guys all know my opinion that 80% of the negative outcomes that we have in the veteran world are directly correlated with how we're delivering services to them. Everybody's asking us to be more unwell to get the things they said we already earned by serving in the first place. So if we can stop that cycle and allow veterans to accept the relationship with their dog in whatever format that it develops in. And that's what's been amazing to watch when those conversations is what so many people came in thinking they needed a certain thing, and then they found that this other thing, a totally different thing, sport dog or whatnot, was actually what scratched that itch. So just being open to the fact of letting your dog also help you guide you on this pathway. And then finding that trainer that you can trust, which it sounds like you and Zach have really hit it off. So that should be great. But any last words, Katie? I know that we were trying to keep this to an hour, but I had a little technical difficulty. But any last advice for people that are on this journey with their dogs?
Nothing's too specific, just keep doing it. Keep
Yeah.
going out there and having fun with your dogs, because that's really going to build that dynamic where they want to work for you. Just keep having fun with them.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Any last minute, I just got another 10-minute warning. So this thing's about to get kicked off whether we're done or not, and we're not going to sign back on. Any last minute, anything else anybody else would like to say?
Just have another quick question.
Yeah.
Can you take the puppies to the VA hospital? Or is
So
it
to go into hospitals, you have to, some of them require some sort of credentialing, like a Canine Good Citizen or Star Puppy. Some of them require that you register with the Red Cross. I know the Belvoir Hospital here on base, you have to register with the Red Cross to bring your dog in, and they do require a CGC, which is Canine Good Citizen, and they do an evaluation of their own. But taking them into a hospital is a little bit different, because of course we want to be very considerate of people that are there recovering,
Right.
having surgeries, going through tough things. So once your puppy has some basic manners and is well behaved, then you can pursue going into hospitals, doing therapy work like that. And those would be therapy dogs versus service dogs, which
I
a lot
just
of
meant for
people.
just I'm sorry, I just meant for a socialization,
Oh,
not
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. A hospital is
VFW,
not going to be a
right.
great place for socialization, just because they need to
VFWs,
have skills.
yeah.
Yeah.
VFWs, American Legions, DAVs, those are other good places. We have a great relationship with them, and they're always looking to do stuff, and we're trying to help them coordinate more dog-specific stuff for veterans, beyond service dogs. Um, and when taking the dog to, what I tell all veterans, anything is, do you actually need that dog there at the hospital? It's like if the answer is yes, then contact your patient advocate, contact some other people at the hospital, and find out what it is that you need to have that there. If the answer is no, it's okay. Like even if you use that dog a lot to help you, the goal is to try to get better, right? And not saying that
Right.
you're whatever it is. So be honest and do a lot of introspection, right? And that's what's going to make it easier. I mean, so many times I get a call from a vet saying like this coffee shop won't let us in, and I have a real service dog, and I'm like, is there another coffee shop around? Just go to the next coffee shop. They'll probably let you in. Like we don't have
Yeah.
to make everything a civil rights issue.
Mhm.
We can utilize our own good judgment and figure out what's
Right.
best for everybody to have a win-win. So
Also, be realistic about where your dog is in their training.
yes.
You don't want to take
Mhm.
them to a really public place and set them up for failure. Set them up for success in all things.
Hmm.
Okay. So take them somewhere where it's going to be less stimulating if that's what they need, until they're ready for that really stimulating environment. If you took a young puppy directly into a hospital, there are going to be so many things that could scare them, and you don't want to do that right off the bat. Like strange noises in hospitals, beeps and wheelchairs and escalators and
And weird
elevators, all of those
smells.
things.
Weird
Yes,
smells.
weird
Yes.
smells,
Yeah.
antiseptics,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
that. So you don't want to expose them to too much before they're really ready for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Christy
Thank you.
did type in a question. She was asking if you do virtual consults for behavioral.
I have in the past, so I'm open to discussing that if she wants to shoot me a message.
Okay, I'll send her over your
Are you
email.
in? You're in the Sierra Delta community, so we can.
She's not in it officially. We're working on a pathway for our trainers to get in. We're just trying to make sure we just don't want to open it up to everybody. I would definitely put
right.
Katie in, but we're trying to figure out like what's the good threshold. But if Katie's okay with it, I will share Katie's email with you,
Sure.
and then she can shoot you guys can take this conversation on email.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you,
absolutely fine.
Okay, perfect. I will do that then. Well, Katie, I can't thank you enough for being here. Sorry again for the disruption of the
Oh, no worries.
meeting, but
We roll with the
hopefully-
punches around here. I told you
Yeah.
I washed my hair in the dog grooming salon
That's
this morning
right.
because I was like, I don't know if this has video or not.
Now, did you use doggy shampoo or did you use human
I
shampoo?
did. I absolutely
Yeah.
did.
That's great. That's great.
Dog shampoo and
again,
conditioner. It looks pretty good,
It
right?
does. It looks fantastic. Well, I hope to see you next week when I'm there. I'll give you a buzz
Yeah.
when I get in.
Great.
And again, thank you all. Thank you for doing this. Thank you all for joining and asking some great questions. And I hope everybody has a great December.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you guys. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you all. We'll talk soon.